My name's Tony Ricketts. This is my wife, EJ Bunzendahl. And this farm has been in my family for over 200 years. And I guess it's my turn to kind of run a show, and I'm lucky to have a partner in crime here that supports me and helped me quite a bit. We've done basically traditional practices for about 10 years or so now, and we're looking to go in new directions. We have a small sheep herd, and we've been doing rotational grazing, kind of getting a feel for what we need to do and how to go about it.
I grew up on a farm in Indiana, but my dad leased the tillable acres, and we had horses. I did not grow up around cattle, so it's been quite an education going over to Mount Folly for the one session of learning that we had about, how to intensively graze an area and how to gauge if that area is going to have enough food. We're not trying to hurt our animals. We're trying to do the best for our animals and the best for the land. So learning a little bit about how to assess and do the math to figure out like what size paddock do we need for a 3-day period with these animals. That was beneficial quite a bit. And I think not just the folks at Mount Folly, but there were farmers there from all over this region and into Ohio. And so it's not a huge area, but everybody here is quasi-local, central, eastern Kentucky, southern Ohio. And I think having a network of folks to learn from that's in your same ecosystem, mostly, in your same climate region, is super important because what affects us here in Montgomery County, could easily be affecting y'all in Clark County or the people over in Maysville, they're going to be experiencing the same conditions for the most part that we're experiencing. And so we learn from each other. What are they doing to account for this?
The biggest thing with reaching out with you all is because you all are doing a lot of stuff that we're wanting to get more into. Plus, it's that growing, learning more about more holistic, regenerative stuff that is a lot healthier medium, I guess, in there than what is out there.
I really like to enjoy some local food. We grow our own food in the garden. We try to have our own meat in the freezer, and I want to try to produce the healthiest animal we can produce right here for ourselves and who we sell to.
That's the whole concept behind it, is just, we try to eat healthier. And the more you look at stuff at the fast food restaurants or even things you get into and all the labels on the cans and all the stuff you see, and we're just like, why would we eat that? And when we can do something way better.
I think the more locally sufficient your community can be, the healthier it's going to be and the more resilient it's going to be. So I think it's important to support your local agriculture, your local farmers, your local beekeepers. Find your food locally.
That money just it revolves around of all those people and that business, that trade, and it doesn't go out to foreign companies and other places and stuff. And you keep a healthier background overall. I mean, for the whole community, actually. They support us as farmers. Well, that gives us the money to keep farming, to produce the healthier stuff for them.
So the other thing, is the importance of keeping farms as farms, not letting them get subdivided.
Eventually, we're going to have to stop growing out and maybe grow up, because once you get to a certain point, if you don't have food, people aren't going to survive. And if you take all the land where you're growing your food at, where are you going to get it from?
This land that's out here is what's growing the food they're buying in the refrigerator, in the grocery store.
Yeah, they don't come just in a cellophane package.
Get subdivided and shopping centers paved over, the less opportunity we have to feed ourselves as a nation.
You're taking something that most people would look at and go, I got a bush hog that looks like crap. It ain't worth nothing. And we'll go over to these ewes in just a minute. These ewes are healthier than they've ever been. Their body condition, to me, is phenomenal.
It's
They look
improved
as good
so
as
much.
they've ever looked.
Started doing this.
I give them mineral about once a week. I keep them in water, and they just graze, ragweed, Johnson grass, ironweed, whatever's there, and then you get to see it all start to come back, and it's crazy. It's great.
And I know from here that looks a little brown because they just moved them yesterday and it hasn't had rain and we've been pretty dry. But if you go over there and look, there's still a lot of vegetation on the ground. So it's not bare soil. It's not open ground. It's still protected by a little layer of vegetation.
Yeah. And the good thing is, though, is everything's been grazed, not just select stuff.
Yeah.
So now everything over there is going to have the same opportunity to come back together. And I heard a guy, and it made sense. He was talking about regenerative stuff, but he said, look, less is more and more is less. He said, if they'll graze more of everything, you'll get less competition of one species pushing everything out, and you'll get more variety back because everything has that same opportunity now to come back together.
Look, there's still
And this is a lot that looks, but so right now, instead of that being bare soil, you've got a good mulch mat down, bam, and it's going to protect what's here, and everything underneath that's going to get that extra little boost because it's going to hold that moisture when it does get it that much better. I've never seen anything work on Johnson grass except for grazing animals. Grazing animals are the only thing I've ever seen that had any kind of control on Johnson grass. I don't care what spray they come out with, it adapts to it and it just keeps on going. If I can get one good cutting on, usually the Johnson grass doesn't come on the first big cutting. You don't have much. But if I get in here now and I start rotational graze these because I don't need the hay, then the cattle and the sheep can work on this Johnson grass. And then I've got that control working for me instead of me having to put all this money out in chemicals and time and, my health being subjected to all those chemicals. So I'm a whole lot more about the natural view of things because for everything that's out here, there is something natural that will help you work on it. I know about how long that this pasture will last me with it wide open and these cattle just free ranging like they want to. There's 160 acres. They just go wherever they want anytime and do what they want. But noticing that and going from the model that we're doing with the sheep, we have 100 some days in, that ground that had been grazed right off the bat is this tall now. Well, you see what you've got right here with these cattle just free ranging, and you don't get those concentrations of all your manure and your urines and stuff. It's going to go back in and really benefit those plants to a degree because it's here, but it's just spread out so far. You're not really getting a big benefit out of it. So to go back and actually help this soil rebuild the way it was originally meant to be, like when the bison were here. And I think that's such a great role model to kind of focus on and get back to that and have these healthy herds and this healthy land and the water absorption. I don't know how many big rains we've seen that came through here that when you will get that one big monster rain and you then watch it just run off. You got nothing. It might as well not rain. You didn't gain from it. So what is going on exactly with the water filtration test here?
Yeah, so what this is the water infiltration test. We're taking 4 of these on the long-term trends, like basically at 4 points. What we're doing is figuring out exactly how long it takes for this pasture, this land, this soil to absorb 1 inch of water. Just to see how active it is, how open it is to taking in water. Because a lot of times water will hit the ground and just roll on down. You're not getting the water under your grass that you need. So we're getting this test done. What I do is I get this ring in the ground and I put 450 milliliters of water in there, which essentially is equal to what 1 inch of water would be like if it had just rained on that spot. And I time it. I time all 4 spots. And the reason why we do 4 is just because there's so many variables. As a farmer, I'm sure you know there's so many variables that you're constantly fighting, and trying to get precise data on this is the goal. And so doing 4 different sites, they may vary, they may not. Just seeing how long it takes for this land, this soil, to absorb 1 inch of water. Land degrades fast, and a lot of conventional farming, a lot of conventional aspects of agriculture can degrade land at a really rapid pace, much faster than it'll regenerate naturally. And so this is what we're hoping to do, is talking to people who are interested in it, want to hear what they can do, want to hear what they can change, and really figure out what they can do to, in 10 years, it might be improving. It very well might be.
I think the thing too with the sheep, the way we're practicing our grazing rotations with the smaller animals before we move to trying it with the cattle, as you can see the differences. Yeah, now it's been 120 days.
Something like that.
Without anything on that section of ground before there's hooves back on it, before there's any more impacts and compaction. And sheep are a lot lighter on the ground than the cattle are. So I'm really thinking once we're able to move the cattle around and let some areas rest, that's gonna show up quickly as a beneficial practice.
I was looking for that equation. Okay, you got X amount of cows, X amount of space, and that's not right, because what we've learned is the variables change. Rain changes it, drought changes it, your grass growth changes it. You may be in a very tiny paddock for a little while, but then the next time you turn around, you may be in a lot bigger paddock because of that change. So you've got to adapt, and you change those paddocks, and that's the biggest thing, is learning that is it. It's always a changing factor. You're never working with a solid figure. You always have to adapt to it. But knowing that, it makes it a lot easier. And like she said, even the sheep, we started out with bigger paddocks. We made small ones. Now we got to this. But through the drought weather we have, instead of grass that's down here ankle high or just a little more, I've got stuff knee high over there. And that's on 1 year. And to me, that's pretty incredible to see that in a 1 year jump instead of waiting 2 or 3 years. Because most people I'm hearing, it's 2 or 3 year jump before you really start seeing that big pickup. And I can see that, because it takes a while for all those minerals and everything to get back into this ground for it to really start thriving. But it's kind of got me fired up there, because I'm like seeing this and I'm like, I'm down to cutting hay only once a year. So this machinery, I'm not using diesel fuel. I'm not working my machinery as hard. Yeah, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to move cattle. I'm going to go move sheep. It's a little more upfront stuff. But I'm using that side by side instead of a big 95 horsepower tractor and all this equipment to do this stuff. And that only adds up to getting into the wintertime of where I'm feeding less hay. I don't have to have as much hay to feed, because I can go long. We're dead against, as much as we can possibly do, chemicals. I don't like to do it. Even when I was going out here with all the ironweed we had, I spot sprayed. And my dad thought I was crazy. He said, that'll take forever. You need to just spray the whole. No, I don't want to lose all my clovers and all the other grasses from doing this spray. So I intentionally would just spot spray. But I don't like to do that even. So the healthier I can make this land, the weeds, everything I understand, these weeds are here because they're doing something. They're bringing something out that normally ain't there, or they wouldn't be here.
At this first point, put that right there. Looks like I'm touching some buckhorn plantain, and I think some tall fescue and some litter. There's a good pile of it right there. And maybe just a little bit of this sorrel now, just off to the side.
We were talking about forestry earlier. I imagine it's very similar, like the more diverse your pasture is with number of species and kinds of species, the more resilient it's going to be, or the more prepared to meet challenges, whether it be insect, drought, disease.
Yeah, and I think in the big way, it's really just, avoiding a monoculture, because I like to think of a lot of the regenerative comes back to, mimicking what it would look like with natural grazers, with bison, with the deer here. And there really would never be a pasture that only had Johnson grass or tall fescue or Kentucky bluegrass.
We appreciate what habitat this farm can provide too. I call that his bush hogging technique a testament on how much he loves his wife. We started seeing a lot of monarch butterflies around here, and everybody knows, the milkweed is their primary food source, and that's what's really needed to keep that population healthy and continuing and help them on the next leg of their migration journey. So,
So yeah, while I'm out here bush hogging, and yeah, it looks like a lot of the local farmers probably thought I was drinking, because I'd go out and I wasn't just cutting all them big straight lines, taking all the pasture completely down, and just making it look like somebody's yard. I'd go out there, oh, there's some milkweed. Well, I'd make a big swipe. I'd keep going till I got around that patch, and then I'd go on about my way, and then, oh, there's another patch. So you'll come out here and there's great big swaths of milkweed here, there, and yonder. Just for the monarchs themselves, that was a big thing for us, is just to try to fix it up, to give something back to them. Not just take all the time. And I think that's what's happened to a lot of these traditional farming, is it's just about take. It's never about give. And you have to give back to it. That's just stuff that we try to do to the land. I mean, we really want to have it coming back and do all its potential. It's going to take a while to backtrack to get back where it needs to be. But I think it can happen.